Hello friends and welcome back to a new episode of Journal de Sylvie. Today we will go through the art of nature journaling, a practice that not only deepens your connection with the natural world, but it enhances your observation, creativity, and above all, self-learning. So after extended camping trips, I abbreviated my methods into the rule of 5 and 10. The rule of 5 is basically the 5 things I need to take note of, basically what I observe. And the rule of 10 is the 10 techniques I apply to facilitate the process of recording this information into my journals. So let's get started with the rule of 5. The first thing I take note of is the flora, which is basically the plant life. The second thing is the fauna, which is the animal life. Number 3, geology. And for me, this includes earth structure. Maybe you visit a cavern, rocks, shells, fossils, basically anything related to the earth structure. Sometimes I include topography notes, which is the landscaping around us. Number 4 is the landmarks and points of interest. So if applicable, when you come across maybe a point of interest in the park, maybe a pond deck, a bird blind, maybe you come across a historical landmark such as an old house or an old well or mill. So all of these are part of your observation spectrum. And number 5, very important, is I include myself. So you need to include yourself because observing nature, it's all about being fully present. So make sure to record your chronicles because the objective of this nature journal is not to create the perfect record, the perfect scientific record. Actually, it's the opposite. It's about capturing moments of wonder that resonates particularly with you. And since you are the main character in this journey, it's very important that this journal is your version of this story. Let's move on to the rule of 10 on how to do that. So before going through the techniques, I just generally begin by structuring a template set with 3 vertical columns on the left-hand side while keeping the right-hand side blank. This approach actually helps to ease the initial hesitation of starting on a fresh page and certainly reduces the concern of figuring out where to begin. So it will feel like you're filling a form rather than worrying from where to start and how to figure out the aesthetics of your page. Okay, moving on to the techniques. Technique number 1 is using words. Obviously, you start by describing what you see. That's the very simple, basic, effective method. Just describe what you see in simple words. Of course, you can take your words to another level by asking rhetorical questions like maybe I wonder so and so, if you see it fit. Another level is to add a personal metaphor by saying, oh, this item reminds me with something. So finding a resemblance between what you observe and something totally irrelevant. Technique number 2 is using numbers. And obviously in numbers, you can describe many things, quantity, distances, estimated size, and so on. For example, consistently, I add the quantity. I always find it interesting to add how many I saw of something. Maybe it was one animal, pair of ducks, or entire colony of birds. So I add Q equal, and then I add a number or an estimated one, more or less. Technique number 3 is using pictures. With pictures, the type of pictures, of course, it can be a sketch, a handmade sketch, very personal and authentic as well. It can be printed from your camera, it can be cut from a brochure, or maybe you do have your own collections of stickers. There is a good representation of what you observe. That's fine too. Now, with pictures, where to put them, we start by the blank right-hand side that we left blank for that purpose, but along the process, if you see fit and you're done writing, nothing prevents you from moving to the left-hand side, right? The template, remember, is just to help you start. How it finishes is completely up to you. Now, many times I feel like I only need to add only pictures. So in this case, this very mystical forest I visited, I didn't need to write anything. I just wanted to add as many pictures as I can because looking at them transports me back to this fairy tale looking like forest. Obviously, visual illustrations are key when it comes to techniques of nature journaling. Technique number 4 is take note of the color palette in nature. I used to see this all the time. Only recently I started to really notice the shift from cold and warm colors, and the contrast it creates is so beautiful. So as you can see here, these two pictures capture the contrast between golden and blue hour. It can also be a color palette capturing the colors of a bird, like in this case the green jay bird. Technique number 5 is the zoom into details. Look closely at little details. Fascinating will be the results of what you capture. Let me give you an example with this turtle. There is a lot of fun facts and important facts that someone can write about this turtle, but remember, the objective of this nature journal is not to capture every single information, is to actually see what specifically embarked your curiosity. And in this case, for me, for some reason, I was fascinated by the black markings at the yellow belly of this turtle, and I applied the technique of, oh, this reminds me of something. For some reason, my eyes saw a similarity between the markings and the native inscriptions. Maybe it's just me, but that's the beauty of it that makes your nature journal authentic and personal. Remember, no two pair of eyes sees the same thing. Technique number 6 is draw a map. Very simple map that lacks a scale, so you don't need to worry about accuracy. But it actually is a very handy technique to log the general outline of your location, and it's also nice to mark the spots you visited. It's like recording your footprint or the footprint of your adventure, basically. So I'll probably do another video about simplified methods for drawing maps, but it's one of the very handy techniques. Technique number 7 is take note of the shapes and patterns. I find this technique very applicable with geology. Over here, I just draw some shapes, and it's combined that once you capture the shapes and the patterns, you also combine the color palette, which is reflecting the nature of the place. You can also add some numbers to say this is a 1-to-1 scale, so now I know that this is the real size of what I observed. You can also combine it with the techniques of, again, finding resemblance between what you observed. In these surfaces here, for some reason, it reminded me with the gray surface they share from the moon. And over here in this picture particularly, I don't know if you can see it, it's a collage of 4 pictures capturing the different patterns and surfaces. Of course, you can apply these techniques to flora and fauna as well, but I use it much more in capturing the geology of the place. Technique number 8, margins and tables. This is different than the 3 columns template. This is simply a margin and then paired with horizontal columns. It's a very handy note-taking techniques. Over here, I just add a simple title and small sketches, and it for some reason organize my writing and facilitate the reading of the following comment. So margins are very easy to start with when you don't know from where to start. I also use margins in tabular forms, like a small table to capture a log. A log can be a date log, time log, temperature log, as you can see here, as you see fit, by day, by hour, but creating a margin and a table next to it helps you to log important or events that you feel like are relevant to time or date. Technique number 9 is the itemized standalone visual illustrations. I got inspired with this technique from the dictionaries. It's very common in dictionaries. So over here, you create a spread. No more words. You don't want to say, you don't want to describe anything. You just label them, maybe numerically or alphabetically. Of course, you can add some notes. But the main idea is to have standalone objects to capture what you observed. This here was the shape and the colors of the leaves in the autumn season. You can apply these techniques basically to the flora of the area, the fauna. Over here it depicts the different bird beaks shapes depending on what they eat. But nothing really prevents you from combining the flora and the fauna in one page. It doesn't all have to be relevant to the same topic, obviously. But this technique is very interesting and simple, and it delivers the message right away. Technique number 10 is creating at the back of your nature journal an index. An index here is a very simple index that captures date, location name and page number. Again, if you follow along with my videos, I shared many techniques of indexing because I believe it's key to enable you retrieve the information whenever it's needed. So over here, don't forget to dedicate this page at the end where to the dates, the park name, and also where to find it. Along comes with that, if applicable, I applied this in part 1, not really part 2, is I dedicated a page for new words that I learned. Sometimes I go back and I check online some fun facts about what I observed, and I come across terminology related to nature. So I feel, okay, let me take note of this word. It's a new word. I did this in part 1, so far not part 2, but it's another back journal tip you can have right behind your index, a log of all the terminology. So these nature journal will train you eventually not to just look around you, but engage all your senses, log what you see, what you hear, what you feel from nature, and take a note of it. But for me, the most important thing about my journals is that they are personal, they are authentic, and they are telling my version of the story, rather than just listing information that anyone can find online. I hope these techniques will help you to enjoy fulfilling your exploration techniques for the world around us. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.